Welcome to the Smith and Rowland Show. Let's join our host, Alan Smith and Jeff Rowland.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. Did you realize it's time for the Smith and Rowland podcast?
Really? Is that time it is?
Yeah.
Okay, here I am.
It rolls around almost every day. And you're about to fall off the screen. Get on the screen.
I can slide over here. How's
what
that?
do we do? I think we messed up.
I think we messed up. I'm
okay?
I'm on there, ain't I?
Well,
that's pretty good.
Now we see a little too much of the center of your. Could we get a profile?
Well, that'll bring a lot of people in.
Ooh.
Right there.
We got a lot of stuff happening. Hey, things are moving so rapidly with the Trump administration, and it's not just domestically. Everything that's going on with the foreign policy that he's got going on. I'm thinking of the relationship with Mexico and Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And according to the Super Bowl interview he gave, he's dead serious about making Canada the 51st state.
Well, I was interested in, you said he gave that. I missed it. But you say that he did say that statement, but I was interested in the reasoning that he had for it, about how much money we get. How about sharing that with us?
$250 billion a year in subsidies to Canada. And
from U.S. to Canada.
Yes. And then he said, why do we do that? And he said, if they were a state, I could maybe see it. He said, we could give that kind of money to a state, but
the only reason I don't, why I don't like the state idea for Canada? My understanding is about all liberals up there.
Yeah.
And so,
I'm telling you,
I don't know.
Who was we talking to?
I'm afraid if you took them on as a state, and I don't know that that's true, but based on their government now, it makes you think it.
I can't remember who we were talking to about this, but when it first came up, we was talking about, if you go to that extreme, if that was to even be plausible, and most people think he's using it as a negotiating tactic. Maybe he is, but if you go thinking seriously about it, you would almost have to say, look, can't make it one state, you'd have to make it two, or it's not going to balance out, because Canada's like a whole lot like we are. They got conservative people and they've got liberal people. If you just throw it
they got more liberal in the east and conservative in the west.
And he made a joke one time about making Trudeau the governor. I think we could make a better pick than that, but you know what I'm saying. The tariffs on Canada is up in the air. 25% tariffs is in the lurch with Canada and Mexico, and he's dealing with all of these foreign policy things, but probably the biggest is what he's talking about at the Gaza Strip.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that has
that's right.
That has basically tore up everybody to even think about.
We've got an article here, Mr. Rowland, complete paradigm shift. Trump completely alters Israel's strategic position. Now, this is an article cited from Prophecy News Watch. And the article here is by Dr. Alex Truman. I can't hardly see it. There's my trusty contacts. And he starts this thing off, Jeff, to say, for the past 16 months, Israel has not only been waging a physical war with bitter terror organizations, Hamas would be their name, and their primary state sponsor, it has also been contending with diplomatic adversaries, including both longtime allies and opponents who have continuously pressed Israel to alter its battle plans. Enter Trump. Just 2 weeks into his second term in office, Israel's strategic position has changed dramatically. 7 months earlier, Netanyahu came to Washington to address Congress as well as to meet with the outgoing President Joe Biden and Democratic presidential hopeful Kamala Harris. Did Joe ever meet with him then? Or was that...
I'm not sure if Joe Biden met with him. I know Kamala Harris spent a little time with him, and it was very tense. They did a little news conference after they talked with each other, and Kamala Harris, the countenance of her face kind of gave way to what her feelings was concerning Netanyahu. But it's odd that did you see the news conference that Trump and Netanyahu gave?
Just a little clip.
Yeah, Netanyahu was the first foreign leader that visited Washington.
Right.
And after President Trump came out in the news conference and said, okay, we're going to own the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu responded, and he said, Israel has never had a better friend from Washington than Donald Trump. And he said sometimes he says things that makes your jaw drop.
You reckon?
And he said,
maybe.
And you scratch your head about it. And then you say, he's right. So that was Netanyahu's response. And the thing about owning the Gaza Strip, I didn't think he was serious when he said it.
Well, can I say this before you continue? Who would have even thought of such an idea? I mean, nobody even, that had not entered anybody's brain.
No one. And anybody that says, oh, yeah, I knew. I
mean, from Muslims on down, nobody had thought of it.
No, that took the world by surprise.
It took my breath away.
And it really, I mean, as soon as he said it, I looked at Haley and I said, I got to get my Bible. Where's my Bible? I got to get my Bible.
Mean?
What meaneth this?
Yeah.
How is it possible that the United States of America could lay ownership to land that, arguably and debatably
Well, he might make that into
belongs to Israel.
51st state.
Yeah, I mean, could be. I said a long time ago that a couple things needs to happen. Either we lose our identity to Israel,
I'm with you.
Kind of hoping for that, or we get blowed off of the face of the earth and we exist no longer, which could be why the world's lone superpower, the United States, is not mentioned in Bible prophecy.
Right.
So think about it for just a minute. But his plan is to relocate the Palestinians into Egypt and Jordan. Of course, both Egypt and Jordan said no. And then...
well, they must be there now.
Well, they have received some refugees up to this point.
I mean, where are they?
Yeah. Well, I don't know because they're not in... They can't be in Gaza.
And I think 40,000 were killed, but that's on both sides.
Yeah. Well, then Trump said, I think Egypt and Jordan will take them. He said, we give them like $350 billion a year. So, what he's saying is, they're going to do what I want them to do, in other words. But he was talking about building them community. He said 1.8 million people. It's not that many people. He said, we'll build them, how Trump does. We're going to build them beautiful communities to live in, and they're not even going to want to come back to and then he goes into this thing of, no, you can't even live in Gaza. It's all to pieces. It's a mess. It's a wreck. But then in the next breath, we're going to make it beautiful.
That's right.
So it does bring to my mind certain questions around scriptures. What is your take, on the fact of America owning property in Israel?
Well, I think there's Trump's not all that much into owning something. He doesn't mind renting it or being part of it.
Or developing
it. And so I'm not sure if he might be saying, we want a 100-year lease from Israel or something. But, it could be that we would own it. It would be the 51st state maybe. But what do I think about it? As far as prophecy is concerned, what do I think about it? I would say, Jeff, that what I don't think about it is concerning me. What I don't know about it is what's concerning me, because we should be mentioned in there somewhere. About the Gaza, because Gaza is part of Israel. Of the land of the promised land.
That's exactly right.
It is part of that. So that concerns me.
It does
somewhat.
me too.
I could go either way on it. To help Israel out, to kind of hold it until we give it back to them, or whatever. I can even get all of that. I do feel good about this part, as long as we're not spoken about in prophecy. But since we're not, I would say, or we can't figure it out if we are, I would say, Jeff, that I'm very happy that we're taking this position in helping Israel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm very happy. So I think that the move is a good move. Trump ceases to amaze me on coming up with some of these ideas that he's got. It just seems like it's somewhat divine. that he would even think of some of these things. To me, for the United States to take ownership of Gaza, redevelop it, and then ease it back into Israel's domain would make total sense to me.
Does to me too. I do want to say this, though. I wanted to ask you about this. Trump's even said, which is true, since 1948, Israel has been bordered by enemies.
Yes, that's right.
It's always been that way, which is part of what Trump's rationale is. You know, this is going to continue to happen. So if we go in there and we rebuild Gaza and leave it open, they're going to find their way back. They're going to do the same thing. We're going to be into this cycle over and over and over and over again. Okay, I agree with that. Let's say you move them out to Egypt and you move them out, some to Jordan and some to Egypt or whatever you do. It's not going to solve the problem. The problem is they hate the Jews, the Palestinians, among others. They hate the Jews. They have called for the annihilation of the Jews. Their main banner, you know, they can wave Hamas flags, they can wave Hezbollah flags, but basically they're all under Iran's thumb, you know, as their ruler, and they hate the Jews. They're spread through Syria, Lebanon, all around the borders of Israel. So you move them out, you haven't changed their heart toward the Jews. Will they find another way to attack? The answer is yes, they will. They just won't be able to do it from Gaza anymore. And that gives us a presence in Gaza. Now, everybody's saying, you know, was this mean you're going to put troops on the ground? And he says
not, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know that he said emphatically no, but basically that Israel's military
would look after it
and oversee it. However, if we own it, then it would be...
We'd have military there.
We'd have military and at least military capabilities. So how does that factor into the overall equation, you know, of God putting hooks in everybody's jaws and drawing them in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, give me a little more there, Jeff, on what you think from the prophecy news side of things, as far as prophetic news would be. What does this look like to you? What does this mean? What doeth this meaneth?
Well, the one thing that I can say, the prime minister in Israel has said this. He would know that Israel has no greater friend or ally than the United States of America.
That's what he said, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He said United States or Donald Trump?
Well, he said Donald Trump. But he has said before
United States.
That the United States, and we have said that we have no greater ally in that region than Israel. We've said that. And in many ways, we've backed that up by what we've done. You know, in some ways, we have subverted what they've done. Depends on what philosophy is ruling in the White House at the time. Yeah. But I do consider from a prophetic standpoint, you can take this in 1,000 different directions, but I do consider from a prophetic standpoint that the United States and Israel are basically one.
Yeah.
I do consider that. When Iran was threatening to annihilate Israel, Israel said to us, they're really after y'all. And Israel said they consider us the little Satan and y'all the big Satan. So even from the evil community, they view us as one.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued by that thought, at the very least. From a political standpoint, are we one? And what does that mean, if anything, you know, in prophetic scripture? I would love to say that the United States of America, if we exist during that time, would still be a friend to the land of God. I would like to think that we're a part of a nation.
It would be nice if the Gaza could be populated by Christians.
Wouldn't that be great?
And then right before that great notable day when the rapture takes place, all of a sudden they'll say, look towards Gaza. Yeah. There they go. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, and two, what about an end time harvest that may be being cultivated by the rebuilding of Gaza. And I don't even doubt this at all. The greatest land developer that has ever lived is in the White House right now.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's just say that he developed the Gaza Strip, and Christian people came there with a mindset to win Jews to Christ for the last harvest before the return of Christ. I'm just saying.
Don't you think Trump will probably look over to Egypt and some of these other places where he got all this money and just invite those friends in? Hey, you want to make a little investment in a little place called Gaza here?
He's already said
that. Yeah. Oh, has he?
Yeah.
In other words,
he said that's how he's going to do it.
That's probably the way he would fund it. Yeah. And not only that, he would. You'd probably have shares in it. You probably wouldn't own a certain piece of land.
That's right. That's right. He's already said all.
He's already said all.
So. And he's holding foreign aid over the head of Egypt and Jordan. You're going to take the Palestinians if we can make this work. You're going to take them because of the amount of money we give them every year. It's amazing to me that in America we're basically financing the whole world.
Who was it? I'm trying to think through my history. Yet the Palestinian people. Oh, mercy, I wish I could remember. In history, after the Crusades, that would have been a Muslim. What's his name? I'm thinking all of that land at one time was called Palestinia.
Yeah, Palestine, yeah.
Yeah, but it was Palestinia was the name which you get Palestine from. All of that land, because they were trying to get, that would have had to been after, of course, 70 AD, we know that, but it might have been Rome. But they were renaming it because they wanted to get rid of anything that was of Jewish nature.
Yeah.
And so they came up with this name Palestinia, and technically the Palestinians really didn't have any origin.
Yeah, right.
In other words, it was created because, I shouldn't even be talking about it without reviewing my history, but there's something like that. Actually, we talk about the Palestinians, but really there's no such thing as Palestinians.
No, there's not.
You see. So, everybody assumes, since you call them that, there is such thing.
And there's not.
There's not.
And when Eastern and Western Rome split, it was somewhere during that time frame that land acquired that name.
Okay, that would have been about 10.
That was around,
about 1,000 years ago. Then.
Yeah.
I think that sounds right. That sounds right.
It was during the Great Schism.
Yes.
I think that name became a valid name or a recognized name.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, with all of that being said, can Trump pull this off? It is an absolutely foreign idea, I think, to anybody in the world. No one in the world, the known world, would have thought about what he's doing. What does, if anything, this say to Vladimir Putin? To Xi Jinping in China. What does it say for the U.S. to come alongside of Israel and own the Gaza Strip, knowing full well that the land that is more rich than any other land on the earth is the big site, the big target for China, Russia, and the rest of the Middle East? What does this say to the rest of the world as far as the power of America goes?
Well, here's what I think it says. They need to hurry up and get the Ukraine-Putin war stopped, because Trump's going after a whole lot more land in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Now he's went to Canada and Greenland and Gaza.
And he has also announced that he has already struck a deal with Zelensky that, there will be no more aid given to the Ukraine unless he signs over $500 billion worth of mineral rights, land rights to the U.S.
Well, Zelensky's found himself in a tight spot.
He's in between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, he's in a tight spot.
Saudi Arabia is trying to negotiate a summit between Putin
I
and
heard
Trump.
that too. Yeah, a couple of days ago. I heard
And
that.
it just, all that seems odd to me. Why would you do it there? What
What
if
seems odd to
anything
me
is this all connected somehow? That's
think-
what I'm driving
I think
at.
Trump needs a summit. He just pick up a phone and
Yeah, it
you
just
don't need no summit. Why all the theatrics you reckon?
well,
Jeff?
I think to me it appears as though that Trump's using all this as just mere negotiating tactics. What has always been my fear is he'll say stuff like this, and then he gets what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but he has to be willing to follow through with it if somebody calls his bluff.
That's right.
And at some point, somebody's going to call his bluff
You would think.
just to see, because no one has yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and who's going to do that? Will it be Canada? Will it be Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Will it be the Palestinians? Well, you know what I'm saying? Who's it going to be? And will Trump have the courage then to say, okay, I'm doing what I said I was going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then what does all that mean? You know, I support what Trump's doing, and from a natural standpoint, owning the Gaza Strip makes perfect sense.
It makes good sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Going in there, and if the United States owns it, Hamas cannot govern it.
There you go. That's right.
So you have done away with one of Israel's worst enemies on that side of their land.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that land is...
Well, I think when Hamas flew in on their powered, glided parachute rides, didn't he kill about 1,500, I think it was, on the paratroopers coming in, or paragliders, or whatever you call it?
Yeah, on October 7th.
Yeah, so, I mean, that is... That was a bad move.
It was a bad move, and they're fixing to make another one. Today is Thursday. Today's Tuesday.
Today's
I
Tuesday.
lost a few days.
All right. No, that hadn't happened yet. You ain't lost them.
Trump, that's good news. At my age, every day counts.
That's right. You ain't lost them.
He made the statement yesterday. He said, I think it was yesterday, he said they have till Saturday at 12 o'clock.
You had to release the hostages. Yeah.
And he said, release all of them. No more of this, release a couple here and a couple there. He said, no, we're not doing that. All of them need to be released by 12 o'clock on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we've got something that is, this could be a bluff called pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so a standard will be set here. If Trump does not respond in the fashion that he says,
he'll respond.
Yeah, he'll have to. Mm-hmm. He has to, or all of his negotiating tactics
are gone.
be useless.
Wonder how many hostages they still have.
I don't know. I'm not sure how many's left. I was thinking they took 240 when they. I think that's right. I may be wrong about that, and I don't know how many's been released, and I don't know how many's left. But I do know that if they don't release them by 12 o'clock on Saturday, Trump's words was, all hell will break loose. So I don't know if that's coming from that he means, okay, Israel is going to, or we're going to. I don't know. Or both. I don't know. But it seems odd to me that even in the last, I don't know if you've seen the video where they just released 3 hostages.
I did not.
They Hamas come out, had their faces masked up, covered up. They had their weapons. I mean, they were cheering. They were doing their Hamas thing. So Hamas is still there, and they're still in power. And everybody needs to realize something. The Palestinian people that lived in the Gaza Strip voted for Hamas to govern them. Mm-hmm. Now, that's according to the vote, if you can believe that. Mm-hmm. Maybe all of that was just show. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But at least that's what was said. So when Trump talks about we're going to build in Egypt and in Jordan, and we're going to move the Palestinian people to these lovely communities in these other places, get them out of the Gaza Strip. If that vote is true, I don't know that we can pull that off or not. If that vote's not necessarily true, if it was me and I'm living in the Gaza Strip by what I've seen on television, I'm wanting to get out of
That's right.
And I think that's what Trump's saying too.
Yeah,
is that the people's going to want to get
definitely. Yeah,
but there's prophetic implications, Alan. Somewhere there's some things that we need to really seek God on. What does this mean if this happens?
Yeah,
because it affects Bible prophecy
in a big way. Because it's with interjecting the United States there, Jeff, as far as Bible prophecy is concerned. It looks like to me it changes the direction of the implications that this equals to the nation Israel in prophecy.
Yes, it does. It would to me too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
And I don't even know. I'm trying to
So based
process.
on that thought, I'm not even sure if it's a good idea.
That's right. That's right.
I mean,
there's so much to consider with something like this.
yeah. Well, we'll just have to watch it, write it out, see if we end up with another Trump golf course in Gaza, or what happens is all I know, Mr. Rowland.
Okay, Mr.
All right,
Smith.
Mr. Rowland. Well, listen, we've run out of time again, and been an interesting topic.
Yeah.
We'll follow it back up again as this thing unfolds.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, say bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you for joining today's Smith and Rowland Show. You can check out our website at kingdompropheticsociety.org and our daily unplugged podcast at smithandrowlandshow.podbean.com. You can also join us on Amazon, Apple, or Spotify.